Collapse comes with the first compromise because standards become negotiable. This is as old as civilizations and as young as you and me. Standards, in this case, are rules that define who you are. Negotiable, in this case, is subject to change. If you choose to change what the rules are based on the situation, then those rules were never rules in the first place. Rules are set to not be broken. As soon as you break the first rule, it creates room for greatness or more change that could be subjective. First, I want to break down what happened with Rome. One of the core philosophies of their society existing was civic virtue, which just means that they chose their duty and their work and their families over themselves. They chose to follow the rules of the law, and they didn't break them to the point where it would lead to beheading. Military discipline was the reason why Rome could conquer. Their worth was the most important element of contributing to their meritocracy. Worth over indulgence even, because the indulgence only came once you were worth something. So everybody earned their keep in ancient Roman societies. Now, this changed when the merit of earning your keep didn't matter when people bought their way to the top of the system. It got even worse when the laws were bent for the elites of Rome. Ultimately, what allowed for them to lose was after they expanded so far, mercenaries flooded Rome and fully conquered what was once the most powerful civilization in human history. These systemic shifts were rules that were subject to change because of the people that enforced them. Once the rules were broken one time, those rules changed forever, and it led to the collapse of Roman society. A second example is Athens. Athens also held a society of civic responsibility, rational debate, democratic participation, and a shared sacrifice to the Greek gods. But they lost that truth with rhetoric. And what once was their ruling became ancient to even their people. Ultimately, one of the core shifts of Greek standards was not the responsibility anymore. It was the entitlement that came from other people's responsibility. The lack of shared democracy collapsed. Rational debate went out the window, and people did not share the same sacrifices to their gods or their people as they once did, thus leading to the collapse of Greek society. You notice a theme here? The result was demagoguery. On a greater humanity level, history repeats itself, and it always starts with the first breaking of the rule. Rules are identity-based. When you choose not to follow your own rules, you choose not to act in alignment with your truest self, and it has consequences. If you choose not to change the rules, but break them, then you are not evolving, you are devolving. Rules are set in place by you to make sure that you are who you say you are, and as soon as you break them, who you are devolves. In your life, you are going to face many challenges that currently go against your rule set. If these rules are identity level to the core, not a temporary but a permanent identity level rule, you are choosing your own collapse because the rules become malleable. They are subject to change. If you choose to change the rule because it fully identifies with you, not just at the time, but in an everlasting form, it will lead to a greater sense of evolution. But if you choose to break the rules that fully encompass all of you, then you are devolving who you are. The difference is how long you expect this rule to apply for. The most common examples of people breaking their own rules and saying they are subject to change are around lust. I have met men who break their own gambling principles and choose to become degenerate. They devolve from the stoic version of themselves to a point where they cannot financially survive. I've seen this. I've also seen men who say that they will never drink again, choose to have their first beer. That first beer leads to 100 more in the same week. I've seen that too. There are many examples of what people consider their vices that they choose to break the rules for. Not every rule you break is a vice, but if the rule you break is a vice, then you are choosing to devolve and collapse who you truly are. The consequences of you breaking your standards are immense. A standard is set so that everybody wins. You will feel the effects of you breaking your own rules for an extended period of time. Those systems that you built on top of the identity-based associations and rules that came from it get questioned to their core once you break them. Drugs are another example of identity-based associations that people break and devolve from. I am not saying that taking drugs are inherently a bad thing, but I am going to say that taking drugs you swore against are inherently a bad thing. And every person makes this decision themselves. This is on no man or woman but you. However, once you choose to break your own rules, either the rule changes or you change. But you can come back from it. If you have broken your own rules in life, the best way to keep the same rule is to change the wording. And if you could tell yourself the same rule but with different words, it is a different rule that you follow. And so long as you don't break it, you will prosper. These identity-based rules that have systems and processes in place for you to follow are so inherently important to the concept of self that if you choose to break them, you have to change the rule or change yourself. There is no in between. However, if you change the wording around a rule so that it matches your current self and then choose not to break that rule, you will become a stronger sense of self because you found words that allow you to build systems and identity-based processes. The first step to understanding which rules you've broken is by retrospecting, backwards looking, at the actions themselves. If you look backwards at the actions, you can look to see where you broke the rules and change the rule so that you won't break them again. Once you do that, and once the rule is set, it is up to you to hold the standard without subject to change to build a stronger sense of self than you once did. You have it within you to do this. These rules will make you who you are. And once you choose not to break them, and these words hit your heart, you will become the best, strongest, and highest version of yourself very fast. You are no Roman. You're not Athenian. You are you. And you have it within you to build strength and resolve in your own rule set. And if you don't, explore. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.